I've been considering on which Loud House review when it comes to romance that I want to do for Valentine's Half Month 6, and there was a three-way tie when it comes to the Season 3 episodes involving Lori and Bobby, the Season 4 episode centering around Lynn, and now this episode from the Europe road trip arc. And to tell you the truth, the Lynn episode from Season 4 was on my mind for the last several months, but since that this episode came out and it centers around Lynn's first ever love interest that is legit, rather than being mainly a tool for Lynn, mainly the person that she was paired up with in order to try to find some kind of connection that didn't work out, including Hugh from the final episodes of Season 1. So watching this episode, it's not really as problematic when it came to what people see in Lynn from the Singled Out episode, because truth be told, if she can still have love at first sight when it came to the final episodes of Season 1, then I'm pretty sure it can happen to her later on, and I'm pretty sure that people will probably not understand the meaning of love at first sight when it comes to characters like Lynn, because whenever I look at Lynn having love at first sight, it's not really the worst love at first sight things that I've seen in other media, because at the same time, regardless if I'm mostly somewhat of a humble person when it comes to that topic, it's not like it really damages a character, because whenever I see Lynn in this episode, this is most likely her best performance when it comes to not only the later seasons of The Loud House, but possibly better than how she was portrayed from Singled Out. The person that Lynn has a crush on is Hendrik, who has the same abilities as her when it comes to athletics, and she really needs to make the right moves to ask him out to be in a relationship with her. Honestly, judging of what I've seen from Lynn's appearance from Singled Out, I have to admit that with her being in a different position than how she was from Singled Out, honestly, what she does throughout this entire episode is really justified. Another thing that I enjoy from this episode is Lori and Lenny being crush coaches for Lynn to get the advantage for Henrik. I have to admit that despite the appearances that I've seen from these characters, this is honestly the best when it comes to them attempting to help out Lynn, because judging the fact that the Loud Sisters tried to help out Lucy in Season 2, honestly, it's bound for them to be put in a position while Lenny and Lori are portrayed as crush coaches, because to tell you the truth, with them being into romance, especially the purpose in the Season 3 episode involving Lucy, I wouldn't expect the other characters to be better as crush coaches than them. Getting back to Lynn being justified in this episode, she's going to participate in Snow Folly, which is a competition where you do Olympics when it comes to winter, and to tell you the truth, this mostly gave me flashbacks of Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Winter Games, which is why I used one of the background musics for this video. Granted, it's not really the main focus of the entire episode, since I knew in advance that the episode is going to focus on Lynn's love interest, but I have to admit, if there was no Snow Flurry when it comes to the characters doing Winter Olympics, then I'm pretty sure that the direction of this episode wouldn't even work when it comes to the type of character that Hendrik is. Similar to Luann and Benny's relationship where the two characters are the same, Hendrik is the same character when it comes to athletics, but also having major rivalries towards other people similar to Lynn. And honestly, people may critique on the issue with the two characters being too similar. Hendrik works at a clock shop, all the while dance with music that he grew up with, unlike Lynn, who, to be fair, does dance, but in different types of musics from where she lives. And he wasn't the one that caused an avalanche, unlike Lynn, when it comes to him blowing something from an instrument. So, if you ask me, Hendrik is a little different than Lynn, and to tell you the truth, he's a lot more different compared to Benny, who is literally the exact same character as Luann. If anything, when it comes to him being similar to Lynn when it comes to rivalries, Lynn being dressed up as a different character in the Snow Flurry competition, honestly, not only is this disguise a lot more believable, that it made me understand that Hendrik does not see Lynn whatsoever, but at the same time, when it comes to Lynn's motivation on winning with every competition, it doesn't really make her unlikable or hateable like she was in previous episodes, where her ego gets the better of her. Truth be told, if she didn't win at the end, I'm pretty sure with her being left out when it comes to competition on other competitors being better than her, then it wouldn't even work out for her character. It took me a long time to understand Lynn's character when it comes to her not bothering Lincoln, despite that's what siblings do, and all the while rubbing into her sister's faces on being victorious. It just kind of sums up that with her being a better person can only translate if you cut her siblings / family entirely and just focus on what she does towards the people outside of her family, which is something that people just do not understand when it comes to a couple of characters who are really immune on character development when it comes to family relationships. Now, I need to make this perfectly clear. I'm fully aware that she harmed Hendrik 3 times. One was hitting a clock because it was interrupting her sentences. The second was a dance that she accidentally bumped Hendrik into a pile of snow, and the last is mainly her putting a cheese fountain on Hendrik to the point that it's difficult to see him as acceptable in his eyes on seeing Lynn as a better person, but at the same time, it actually showcases that Lynn just isn't like her sisters. And with Lenny and Lori helping her out, I'm pretty sure if every single member of the Loud family ends up helping out Lynn when it comes to her crush towards Hendrik, the episode wouldn't even work, which is really a shame considering that when it comes to these episodes, this is one of the only episodes from the Europe road trip arc that focuses less characters rather than all of them, which is something that the first episode didn't do when it comes to Lincoln and Luna's non-focused development. I was gonna say relationship, but at the same time, I'm still really furious of what they did in the first episode to the point that it's literally impossible to reconsider on the fact that that relationship has any development after 4 Bros About to Walk. The thing is that with this episode having focused on relationships rather than the entire family being part of it, it really furthers Lynn's character when it comes to her actual legit crush rather than having every single character just being forced into it. Granted, this episode is 11 minutes compared to the first Europe episode, but still, you can really tell that they at least focus on the characters a lot more rather than just focusing on spy elements from the first episode that really takes away the development when it comes to the characters themselves. And regardless if the spy elements does factor Lincoln's character, it doesn't make me see the episode any better, judging the fact that it just scraps the idea of a actual Lincoln and Luna episode. P.S. The scene where Lincoln accidentally gets onto Lynn's board, all the while a dog chases him, with him being crashed into a pile of snow, isn't really Lincoln torturous, considering it's a showcase of Hendrik stopping the dog, all the while Lincoln was mostly spared when it comes to him being crashed into snow. It wasn't Lynn's fault because she was dazed with having a crush, and seeing more of Hendrik in this is supposed to be a showcase of Hendrik being athletic. And in all honesty, I don't even think that Lincoln was really that tortured, considering with him being left out as the episode continues, he would have been a lot more worse torture than what we've seen from this clip alone. Anyway, getting back to this episode's plot, I really feel like that the direction and execution of this plot is on point. Well, if you think that the pairing between Lynn and Hendrik is completely problematic, truth be told, you're really into the earlier seasons that regardless if you're not really into the newer seasons, you're missing out a detail that kind of makes this episode slightly better than the other episodes that repeat the same methods non-stop. Because I don't even think that this episode really had any of those issues. Honestly, I'm not a shipper between these two, but I can totally understand them being together in some other way. If anything, it kind of sums up the nature that this pairing of a character from the United States being paired from a person outside of the United States is somewhat similar to Lenny's crush towards Scott from the Lounge House movie. And despite with that movie being canon or not, this is honestly a lot more better because obviously it's a lot more focused without anything in the way. So this really feels a lot more justified on making the episodes have a purpose rather than just resetting the characters back from square one. Even though I didn't watch all the episodes of the Europe road trip arc, similar to the last road trip arc, I have to say that this episode is the best that I've seen when it comes to this arc, but that would mean I have to watch the other 3 episodes, which I have little interest into doing. The only thing I can think of is possibly the Lucy episode that I could review during October of this year, but then again, that's mostly debatable if that's going to happen or not. I'm giving this episode a 7.5 out of 10.